Hi there, YouTube. It's been quite a while. This is me, Specialist Gilpin. As you can see, I have hair. I just want to give you guys an update telling you that yes, I passed. I am a nurse, and I wanted to give you guys some tips. So as far as the 68 Charlie course, um, there's phase 2 and phase 1, and then with phase 1, make sure you study, obviously, and if you're close to failing your PT test and you have to choose between studying or your PT, if you have to choose, make sure you choose studying, because like me in phase 1 I got injured and I tried taking that on a PT test with an injury, and of course I failed. I wore a brace and popped some ibuprofen thinking to myself I can just push through, not a sick call ranger, and because of that I worsened the injury, and I went to phase 2 because I passed my test, flagged. So basically, I didn't get promoted on time, and honestly, it was really stupid of me. And you shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have. So phase 1, make sure you study everything. Like as far as the slides, no, I do not have access to a Google Drive, and honestly, it wasn't really that helpful. As long as you study the slides, especially the day before a test, you should be good. If there's nothing, if you don't, at phase 1, if you don't feel comfortable or confident at all doing IV and blood draws or immunizations, do not worry about it, because I assure you, you will get more practice later on in your career. Phase 1, if you're going to fail your PT test, make sure you study and your grades are on point. It's been quite a while, so then you go to phase 2. And I stopped my videos for a while, mostly because I had some personal issues with my wife, and we're currently divorced. So that really did affect me when it came to my studying. And phase 2, I failed 2 tests due to that. I mean, it wasn't just that. It was obviously my choices. It was my responses to what I could control and what I couldn't control. So in phase 2, it is definitely going to be a lot of a step up. It's real faster. It's real fast. As far as the information is going to be coming at you, it's going to feel like you're drowning sometimes. Study groups. I assure you, if you haven't already in phase 1, in phase 2 you will make study groups. And these study groups will be intense. Maybe they can last 2 hours, 3 hours, the weekends. That's a good habit. Getting in the habit now will make the transition easier for you, and ultimately will help you with your GPA. In phase 2, I had to make study groups, and they will tell you, the advice is obviously solid. You listen to the instructions, you write down there during class, and then you read the book, because the book is supposed to have some of the answers when you take these tests and exams. Now, the problem that I had is that I studied everything from this particular book for a certain quiz in that exam, and I felt like I knew it front and back. It was pediatrics part 2 for me, and I felt like I had it down cold. This was going to be the first A I made. It was going to be solid. Well, much to my surprise, I failed that by 1, and I was blown away and shocked, because I thought I had it. Shortly after I modified, I focused less on the book, and especially the day before the test, I looked through all the slides, because in those slides, if you can remember, there's going to be certain information that may or may not pop up on the test, but more likely than not, in my case, they popped up on the test. So these slides are very, very helpful. It is always good to refresh, go through them, even if you're just going through them with a couple of friends. Those can be very helpful. During phase 2, I managed to get promoted because I finally passed the PT test. And now I'm a specialist, and I caught up to where I'm supposed to be. And in a few, maybe perhaps a few more months, I'll be going to BLC, which is one of the prereqs for becoming an NCO. One of the things that's very, very great about being a 68 Charlie is that your promotion points right now are currently at an all-time low. So basically, if you're new to the military, promotion points are some of the points that you have to get in order to become an NCO, or a non-commissioned officer, an E5. Ours is 39 at the moment, out of 800 max. So 39 promotion points. What you have to do is pass your PT test and rifling, and obviously have no discrepancies upon your record and be a squared away soldier and go to BLC, and then also go, let's see what else. You go to BLC. Sorry, it's just not coming to me right now. Yeah. Go to BLC, you finish SSD 1, pass the PT test, pass your rifling, pass your height and weight standards, and then go to promotion board, get your P status to be promotable, and then you can commission. So it's really worth it to finish and complete this course. At the end of the course, it's gonna, like I said, study groups, study groups, study groups. Make sure you study every day, even if you're like making straight A's. Just study, like, because you don't want to be that guy who fails a test. You don't want that. That's stress. That's extra stress that you don't need, and your course is very, very long. Personal matters. I do not recommend anyone to get married while they're in our AIT. I do not recommend them to move down their spouse with them during phase 2 of AIT. Yes, you can. If you have a very solid, happy marriage before the military, okay. But if you don't, that's extra stress you don't need right now. If she is, or he is the one, she can wait. She'll be there waiting because she's the one. And if they can't understand that you're trying to better yourself, then maybe you got to reevaluate what's going on there. But that's just personal stuff I would recommend. I also would recommend moving back into the barracks if you happen to get a divorce during that period. That would be very tremendously beneficial. I didn't, so that was extra commute time. For me, it was in Walter Reed, phase 2. That's about an hour. I'd have to wake up a lot earlier to take an hour bus ride, due to the fact that I was not allowed to take my vehicle and park on the Navy base. At other phases, I don't know how that works, but that was an hour back and forth, and I'm not exaggerating as far as the time. There's literally times where you have to wait for the bus once you get released, which is usually pretty late. Being in the barracks would save you so much time. That's extra time to study, extra time to work on your PT if you want, the gym, get food, and be stress-free and decompress. I was very wound up tight in there due to the fact that I made some bad choices. So as far as personal matters, I would really try to downplay that. Focus on your career. Focus on studying. This will help you. When it comes down to it, it's a pretty long course, and it's a battle of attrition. You keep your mind focused, keep your mind positive. You know what they say to a doctor who finishes last in his class? Congratulations, you're a doctor. So you keep studying, and if you don't understand something, do not wait. Don't wait till later on when you fail the test to say, well, I had questions. No. You tell them right then, right there after the exam. Or, I'm sorry, after the session of lectures. You try to get them on your side and try to pick their brain and get more information. They will give you advice right then, right there. And in the event that you do fail and possibly have to get recycled, it looks a lot better if you ask questions as opposed to just letting yourself get discarded because you never ask questions, and then you want to get recycled, and then you're like, first off, this soldier never asked any questions, always acted like he knew, was ready to leave all the time, and now he failed, and now he wants to get recycled. Whereas you have someone who's always been struggling, but they always ask questions, and they got through eventually. It looks a lot better. So that's my other advice for you. I failed two of the exams, and I believe 4 is like, that's it. When you're on that third one, your stress is through the roof. A lot of people will focus, as far as the stressing of the test, as neuro, which is test number 12, I believe. Still remember a little bit of it. It's not as tough as I thought it was going to be, but it can get you. Make sure, like I said, slides, study group. And a lot of people got tripped out with the cardiac exam, which is test number 3. That one was tough for me. I passed, but I did not feel like I was going to pass. So, let's see what else we have. You buckle down, you get those study groups, you get your good habits, you work out, so that way you don't fail your PT test and you can get promoted sooner. because I was extra stressed. In phase 1, I was phase 4, because there's 3 little phases they give you, which means privileges. I was phase 4 the entire time. Did it bother me so much? I'm kind of introverted by nature, so it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. However, there's a lot of extra formations you have to go to, which you could have opted out of, which is nice. Obviously, you can leave post, which is nice. But with that comes some risks. There's fraternization. If you're not married, don't get married in AIT. That's my advice. Not until you graduate. Once you get that nursing license, marry whoever you want. But there was a lot of cases in our class of fraternization, prior service members messing around with lower enlisted, or Army members messing around with people in the Navy barracks, because that's where you're most likely going to stay unless you're married and off post. You're going to be in the Naval barracks. Well, that's if you're in phase 2 Walter Reed. Army bases is probably going to be a lot different. But we had a couple of cases of that. Some people dropped out due to pregnancies, because if you get pregnant, you're out. Some people dropped out due to personal matters. Some people realized nursing wasn't for them. And if you don't feel like it's for you, there are many, many specialties you can be doing. Okay, there's med surg, there's ICU focus, there's psychiatric focus. There's clinical nursing, which is something I'm actually really liking, because there's a lot of the stuff that you would think you would have to do, such as, wiping patients who cannot wipe themselves, or patients who have strokes. It's just really heartbreaking stuff, and you feel very bad because you can't take care of them to the extent that you can make them better, because you want to sometimes. Patients who have cancer, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. It really does weigh on you. I went in there pretty childish, and I suppose I still am, but so I recommend, toughing it out, because it's worth it. Because now I have my nursing license. I'm about to be on my 3rd year in the military, and I'm about to be sent to BLC to get my NCO. I have my promotion points in line, whereas medics currently in my unit, they have 798 promotion point requirement out of 800. They're maxed. Almost no one is getting promoted. When they drop down, it's very, very rare, and the spot gets taken so quick. It's very competitive. So right now, 68 Charlie is a very good MOS to have. So that's some other advice. I say, tough it out. Good things come to those who endure. And if you are feeling like you're having behavioral concerns, mental health wise, I recommend you talking to people sooner rather than later. I had a really good friend of mine. He was also going through the course, and he helped me get my stuff together, because when she left, it's pretty devastating stuff. I just thought I was going to fail. I didn't want to study, didn't want to eat. It was pretty negative, dark place. Now feeling so much better. My it's getting where it needs to be. I'm working at a clinic, Russell Coyer, Fort Hood. Now, as far as once you graduate, a lot of people will be very lucky, and they can get stationed in Hawaii, Germany, like very nice duty stations, New York possibly. These are really nice. However, I got stationed at a combat support hospital. So instead of a hospital I'll be working at mostly the motor pool. And every now and then I can get tasked out to go to clinics. Currently I'm tasked out, so I'm lucky right now. There's a lot of things that can be annoying at times when you're in the motor pool, especially as a nurse, because you feel like, you put in all this work, all this effort, to become a nurse, and to not even use your nursing skills. It really it can make some people bitter. Thankfully, you gotta adapt and overcome, and right now I'm pretty flexible in my life. You gotta realize that, sometimes these tests are gonna be tough. Tough times don't last. They're not forever. They're not permanent. And if you can make it through that nursing school, it's worth it. Now, once you finish your exams, there's this thing called the NCLEX, and basically to certify you, make sure that you get your license, which you'll have to renew, I believe, the first year initially after, and then it's every 2 after that, I believe. You may want to fact check me on this, but the NCLEX is tough. A lot of people will put a lot of pressure on you for it. So I was studying. Once I got to exam 15 and I passed, and I knew it was just the NCLEX that I needed to pass. So I was studying. There is an app. I think it's LVN Mastery. I know there's one for Registered Nurse Mastery. LVN Mastery, I want to say it is. That app is worth paying the $30. It has all these NCLEX style level questions that you can focus for little specific areas. It's like $30, I think. It is worth it because that $30 almost automatically guarantees you that you're gonna pass. So it's a small price to pay. You pay $30, you pass the exam stress-free. Some people clipped out at like 65 questions, I think is like the minimum that you can get, which stresses some people out because they think they fail. But I clipped out around 85 out of, what is it? I think it's like 160. You know, it's been a while and I should have made this sooner. I see that a lot of you guys have been asking me questions about this, so I just wanted to make a video there. Let you guys know that, hey, I did pass. Hey, these are some pro tips I'm giving for you. Yeah, so it's worth it, guys. If you can hang in there, you can become an LVN, and even if you switch MOSs after that, you're all set on the civilian sector. Or you could work at the VA as a civilian when you get out, and still continue your. If you want to do 20 and retire, you can still continue. And I think you have to be. I'm not sure the age that you have to be when you draw it if you switch over, because it'll add your years that you currently have. If I'm making any sense. Yeah. So ultimately, those are my pro tips for you guys. As far as IVs and blood draws, do not be too concerned if you're atrocious at. You'll get more training in those later on. In phase 2, you'll get a lot more. I was probably one of the worst people when it came to sticking people. I can do blood draws decently. IVs are still, they're hit or miss with me. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. Make sure you try to take advantage of them and get those study groups. All right, guys, you can do it. See you around.